Rolex isn't just a watch. It's a statement, a symbol of wealth, power, and exclusivity. Owning one isn't about checking the time. It's about sending a message. But what if I told you that behind the prestige and luxury, Rolex hides some of the biggest secrets in the business world? Unlike other luxury brands, Rolex doesn't answer to shareholders. No public records, no leaks. It's a vault of information, locked so tightly that even industry experts are left guessing. Who really controls Rolex? And where does its fortune go? And yet, Rolex sells over 1 million watches every year, with some models fetching millions at auction, worth more than supercars, mansions, and even private jets. But why? What makes Rolex watches so expensive? What's the real reason behind their insane demand and impossible waiting lists? Today, we're pulling back the curtain to uncover the darkest secrets of Rolex. How an orphan built the most powerful luxury brand in history. The psychological tactics Rolex uses to manipulate demand. And the shocking financial loopholes Rolex exploits to maintain its grip on the industry. Is Rolex truly worth its legendary status? Or is it all just an illusion, crafted to keep you wanting more? Let's dive in and find out. Part 1. How an orphan built an empire. Imagine this. You're 12 years old. One day, life is normal. Then suddenly, both of your parents are gone. Just like that, you're left with nothing. No money, no home, no future. That was the reality for Hans Wilsdorf, the man who would go on to create Rolex. Sent to live with uncles who had no interest in raising him, Hans was shipped off to boarding school in Switzerland, forced to fend for himself. But instead of letting his circumstances define him, he threw himself into education. He became fluent in multiple languages, unknowingly preparing himself for a future as a global businessman. Determined to carve his own future, Hans took his first job at a Swiss watch company. To most people, it was just a job. But for Hans, it was a classroom. And he was about to learn the secrets of the luxury industry from the inside. While working behind the scenes, he studied the industry. He saw patterns, not just in watch mechanics, but in consumer behavior. What made people desire luxury? What made a watch valuable beyond just telling time? At just 24, Hans took the biggest gamble of his life. He moved to London and started his own watch company, Wilsdorf & Davis. But there was just one problem. Nobody took wristwatches seriously. At the time, they were seen as fragile, unreliable, and mostly for women. Pocket watches were the gold standard for men. Even his own business partner thought he was making a mistake. But Hans had a vision. He believed wristwatches were the future. While the world laughed, he quietly placed one of the largest wristwatch orders in history. He was all in. And little did the world know, he was about to change history. Part 2. The Rolex name was created. Hans Wilsdorf knew that quality alone wouldn't sell watches. He needed something bigger, a name, an identity, a legacy that would stand the test of time. At the time, wristwatches were still seen as a novelty. But Hans had a bold vision. He wanted to make them desirable, masculine, and a symbol of achievement. He experimented with hundreds of name combinations, testing different sounds and syllables, but nothing felt right. Then, according to Hans himself, a genie whispered the name Rolex into his ear as he rode a horse-drawn carriage through London. A dramatic claim, but one thing was undeniable. The name Rolex was perfect. Short and memorable. Easy to say in every language. A name that sounded prestigious and elite. Hans made his next genius move. Branding. Instead of being just another watchmaker, he made Rolex a legend. Every watch bore Rolex on its dial. Every Rolex wasn't just a watch. It was a statement. and Hans made sure everyone knew it. This was just the beginning. Part 3. The genius moved to Switzerland. Rolex was thriving in London. But then World War I broke out, and suddenly Hans had a major problem. He was German. Anti-German sentiment was skyrocketing in Britain. Everything German was viewed with suspicion, including German business owners. The fact that Rolex was doing well only made things worse. The brand became a target, and Hans knew if he didn't act fast, his company could be shut down or boycotted. So in a strategic move that would shape Rolex forever, he moved the entire company to Switzerland. Why? The reasons were genius. Switzerland was neutral. Rolex could operate without political interference. It was already the watchmaking capital of the world, filled with skilled craftsmen. Massive tax benefits allowed Rolex to keep more profits. By the end of the war, Rolex wasn't just another watch brand. It was a symbol of precision and reliability. And for Hans Wilsdorf, this was just another victory in his battle against time. Part 4. Rolex's secret marketing strategy. In 1926, Rolex released the Oyster, the world's first truly waterproof watch. But instead of just telling people it worked, Hans did something bold. He convinced a young British swimmer, Mercedes Gleitzer, to swim across the English Channel while wearing the watch. For over 10 hours, she battled the freezing waters, and when she emerged, her Rolex was still working perfectly. The press went crazy. Rolex became known as the most durable and reliable watch on Earth. And Hans wasn't done. He knew that to create true demand, he had to take things further by making Rolex almost impossible to own. Part 5. The ultimate status symbol, or the biggest manipulation. Rolex watches weren't just expensive, they were hard to get. Waiting lists stretched for years. Dealers carefully controlled who could even buy a new model. And unlike other luxury brands, Rolex never flooded the market with supply. But here's the shocking part. Rolex isn't actually as rare as you think. It's an illusion. Insiders have long speculated that Rolex artificially limits supply to inflate demand and keep prices sky high. Unlike other luxury brands that openly produce and sell watches, Rolex refuses to disclose its actual production numbers. No one outside the company knows exactly how many watches are made, or how many are secretly held back to create scarcity. And the mystery doesn't stop there. Did you know that Rolex is technically a non-profit? Unlike almost every other billion-dollar corporation, Rolex is owned by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, a private trust that operates under Swiss charity laws. This means Rolex pays little to no corporate tax, keeping nearly all its profits hidden from public view. Where does all the money go? That's the question no one can answer. The company doesn't release financial statements, and Swiss law doesn't require them to. While Rolex claims to donate to charity, there's no transparency about how much actually gets donated or where the money really ends up. Some financial analysts have speculated that this system allows Rolex to hoard wealth in a way that no other luxury brand can, making it one of the most financially impenetrable businesses in the world. If you've ever tried to buy a Rolex at retail price, you know it's nearly impossible. You can either wait years or pay double, triple, or even more on the grey market. But here's the shocking part. Rolex benefits from this secondary market. By restricting supply and allowing demand to explode, Rolex drives people to the grey market, where watches sell at astronomical markups. Yet Rolex never publicly addresses this problem. Why? Because it increases brand desirability and keeps Rolex in the headlines. The result? Rolex watches become more valuable over time, creating a cycle where buying one isn't just a purchase, it's an investment. From the wrists of Wall Street executives to hip-hop moguls, Rolex isn't just a watch, it's a symbol of power. Celebrities like Roger Federer, David Beckham, and Tiger Woods have long been associated with the brand, further cementing its elite status. Hollywood legends such as Paul Newman and Steve McQueen have also contributed to the mystique of Rolex, with their personal timepieces fetching millions at auction. Even today, high-profile figures like Drake, Jay-Z, and Cristiano Ronaldo flaunt their Rolex collections, reinforcing the brand's image as the ultimate luxury statement. But here's what most people don't realize. Rolex doesn't give away watches like other luxury brands do. Every Rolex ambassador and celebrity pays for their watch. Unlike some competitors who offer free timepieces to influencers, Rolex makes sure that even the rich and famous have to buy in. Because owning a Rolex is supposed to feel exclusive. And that's why Rolex doesn't need aggressive advertising. The brand markets itself. Is Rolex running out of time? For over a century, Rolex has controlled time itself. But is time finally catching up with Rolex? With increasing scrutiny on tax loopholes, artificial scarcity, and the grey market manipulation, could the world's most secretive luxury brand face a reckoning? History has proven Rolex is untouchable, but is history about to change? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe for more untold stories behind the world's most powerful brands. See you in the next one.